Hey everybody, things are starting to get real in the keep on wrenching garage. It's paint day. A quick look at the setup. I've got all my parts kind of hanging. We've got the frame there, and then I've got a couple of sawhorses with some of the smalls hanging out over here. Turn around, I've got my paint rack with some of the larger pieces that I'll have to deal with. And then we got the gas tank hanging out over here, all right? Air compressor hose reaches all the way around. I'm in good shape. First step, all of this stuff needs to be thoroughly, and I mean thoroughly, degreased. Per the instructions from Auto Paint HQ, wash with soap and water, already done that. And then we need to wash the surface with a good grade wax and grease remover. That's the first step. And this is going to take a hot minute to do. As I degrease, if I run across any like flash rusted spots, I'm gonna grab some sandpaper and sand that stuff away. Gotta be thorough during this step, man. Preparation is 90% of the game. That's what I learned on my last big painting project. One thing that is really important to remember from this point forward is that your hands are always in gloves. You're never touching any of the parts with your bare hands. You do not want the oil from your hands on the parts. Glove up on this stuff. You gotta be meticulous during this step. This degreasing, this prep work, it matters a lot, all right? These are all freshly sandblasted. So the degreasing and getting off any flash rust is key. All right, feeling really good about the degreasing. I've got all my parts kind of hanging here strategically so I can have easy access to them once we start shooting paint. But we got just a couple things to do here before we start really getting into it. The next step is to glove up again and then hit all the parts again with a tack cloth. This will get any kind of, remnant materials that are laying on the surfaces. I'm gonna hit all the parts, go through everything one more time with a fresh tack cloth. And there's really nothing sexy about this process. It's literally one piece at a time, really paying attention to the details and getting these parts as clean as humanly possible. The tack cloth makes a huge difference, so don't skip the step. All right, tacking is done. Now it's time to plug some holes. So an example would be where my petcock goes. These come in assorted sizes. So I can just take these and put these in there. That way I'm not messing up my threads when it's time to get back to reassembly. These will pull out easy enough. And I gotta go find myself another red one. But yeah, just stick them in there, thread them in where there's a bunch of thread points. And we'll keep going with this for a little bit. All right, paid some special attention to some of the spots on the tank. Got the badge mount holes done. Rear fender mounting holes. The threads on the headlight bucket, it looks like. And there was one on the chain guard over there. Not much on the smalls, actually nothing there, but quite a few spots on the frame. So I pretty much just looked for anything that had a thread, and I went ahead and plugged it. And now I'm gonna get out some masking tape and just tackle some of these spots that have exposed threads. It's gonna make your life easier if you take the time to do this now, because otherwise you're gonna have to do it when you put it back together. All right, in the next little step, I just like to roll up a little bit of paper. And anytime we've got an area, that we've got something going through, like this one is for the swing arm, I'm just gonna tuck in a piece of paper and then unravel it a little bit. And that way, that whole passageway will stay nice and clean. Again, if you don't do this, when you get to reassembly, you're gonna be getting in there with your Dremel to clean all this stuff out anyway. So you might as well just do it now. Just do it now. A couple spots to really pay attention to would be the swing arm pass-throughs here. A little piece of paper in there is gonna protect those surfaces. And another one's gonna be Might need a little bit bigger piece of paper on this one, but on your triple tree, make sure you don't get a bunch of paint on the inside diameter of these clamps. A couple little details to do here. I'm gonna go ahead and plug the gap on my tank with a little bit of paper. Get this expanded out nice. We don't want to get a bunch of paint in the tank. That should do it. You just don't want that falling out while you're painting. So you want that kind of taut in there, just like that. And then lastly, I just want to protect the surfaces of my race for the steering stem. So I'm just going to stick this full of masking tape on both the top and the bottom. Seems like the easiest approach here to get this one done. But yeah, I don't want to paint all over the surface where those bearings ride. So I'm just gonna stick a bunch of this in there, smoosh that down. That should be good. And with that, I do believe prep on all these parts is pretty much done. We have gotten rid of all the surface rust. I have degreased everything thoroughly, maybe a little obsessively, but you'd rather err on that side of stuff. And we've plugged all of the threaded pieces, so we're not painting everything. Oops, looks like I missed two here. I'm gonna go get a couple plugs, finish that up. Always good to do one final walk around, but I think I'm real close to throwing down some primer. All right, quick check on the temperature. Looks like I'm about 64 degrees. A little bit cool. You wanna be around 70, 80 degrees, in between there. So I'm gonna kick on the shop heater for just a little bit. And while the shop warms up, just remember you need good ventilation. You need to be pushing air out of the garage. I'm also gonna crack the garage door just a little bit like that during the painting process, so I get just a little bit of movement going on. If it gives me problems, I can always close that, but I would like to have that. I'd like to have some nice even airflow happening. All in all, preparation took me about 2 hours today. When using these paints, you absolutely need to be using a respirator, all right? Get some fresh cartridges and, protect yourself. Safety first. The only thing I'm not gonna be able to paint today are these side covers. I just noticed that we do have some see-through areas on this, so I'm gonna need to repair this one just a little bit. So this is easy. These are cloud silver. Can easily do those later. So that is where I am at with prep. Next step is paint. Just waiting on the shop to warm up just a little bit. Then we'll start laying some primer and getting this thing knocked out. It's gonna go really fast. If I learned one thing from painting the Jeep Wrangler, it's that, man, once you start laying paint, it starts to go really, really fast. I'm gonna do my best to kind of show the process in the next video, but I'm gonna end this one here. So this is gonna be a two-parter. It's gonna be kind of prep in this one, getting this ready to go. And then in the next one, we'll start laying some paint. Hope you found this useful, maybe got a couple tips or tricks out of it. If so, be sure to subscribe, hit that like button. It really does help the channel. And also don't forget to head on over to keeponwrenching.com and get yourself a free sticker. It's almost go time. See you in the next video or live stream.